So we've got some news for you guys that isn't Ange related, even though I do have some Ange news to bring you guys. It's transfer related. Apparently, Manchester United are getting Elliot Anderson. Welcome to your Forest News. Hi guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to your Forest News, where we're going to be talking as little as possible about Ange. I do have an update on his situation, which I'll bring to you shortly. So if you're enjoying the content, as always, please don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you are new, and check out the latest merch in the store. Look at this bad boy. Jesus doing the Kamehameha. You can grab that from the merch store by scanning this QR code or clicking on the link that's pinned in the comments. Okay, but where do I want to start? I want to start us off with Elliot Anderson, Manchester United. So apparently this is already agreed. It's done and dusted under, big leaks coming out of Manchester United. They can confirm that this is agreement. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Indie News. Now, this, for those of you who don't know who they are, this is an aggregator account, I think would be the right word to use. That's been around for quite a while and has been very quiet for the last few years. And then suddenly, in the transfer window just gone, they got their reputation pushed through the roof because David Ornstein kind of acknowledged them in terms of their sources and the stuff they're going through. And ever since then, they've been releasing bombers after bombers, with a lot of them being an absolute pile of crap. So what have they been saying? Well, let me read you through what they've said. They've said, exclusive, Bruno Fernandes sale has been agreed. Baleba and Elliot Anderson are incoming. And we've been told at the highest level of secret about Manchester United's transfer plans. We understand that Bruno Fernandes will be sold to Saudi for 100 million in the summer. The deal's already agreed between all parties, according to sources. It seems like Bruno Fernandes is just waiting to sort out personal terms. Funds of Bruno's transfer are expected to be used to bring in Carlos Baleba and Elliot Anderson. Okay, so that's their bomber in a international break window. I find that very, very surprising, to say the least. People have nothing to talk about and they bring up information like this. So, look, let's start with the Elliot Anderson stuff. Elliot Anderson is wanted by Manchester United. I'm not denying that. Elliot Anderson is wanted by Liverpool. Elliot Anderson is wanted back at Newcastle. Elliot Anderson is wanted by a lot of clubs. Why? Because clubs like to buy good players. I have not seen a club yet, a serious club, not that I'd call Manchester United a serious club, that wants to buy crap players. Okay? So is it a surprise to anyone that Elliot Anderson is being linked with other clubs because he has been performing so well, and then he's kind of lifted his profile even more with the performances he's done against England? No, of course, it shouldn't be a surprise to me. It shouldn't be a surprise to you guys after. So it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that we're going to start seeing these BS links. Now, is there any truth in this? Well, Bruno Fernandes was close to signing at Saudi in the summer just gone. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I heard things like Amorim said he didn't want him to go. Then Bruno spoke to his family. His family didn't want to go Saudi, and it ended up not happening. And it was for a fee of somewhere around 100 million. So it feels to me like they've rehashed some of that information. It is likely, I think, that Bruno does leave Manchester United at the end of the summer. I can't see him getting 100 million. Now he's going to be another year older. He's been pretty poor for Manchester United this season. I can't see his valuation holding anywhere near that level. But then again, it is Saudi. So let's grant that they get 100 million for Bruno Fernandes in the summer. And they want to sign Baleba and they want to sign Elliot Anderson with that money. So let's not even do the whole PSR thing. Let's just talk pure numbers as we have them on the table, 100 million. 100 million is not going to be able to get you both Baleba and Elliot Anderson. Firstly, Baleba asked Manchester United tried to get him in the summer, and Brighton would have been willing to do a deal, but they were looking somewhere, I think, from 90 to 110 million or some crazy numbers like that for Baleba. Brighton are not going to recant on their fee come next summer unless he's out of contract. I don't know his contract situation, but let's make the assumption he still is. Let's say even they go down a little bit to £80 million. Forest, on the other hand, with Elliot Anderson, will probably now see Elliot Anderson alongside Murillo as their most valuable assets, and some may even chuck in Gibbs White still. Elliot Anderson has so many positive ticks against his name in terms of taxes that is going to make him extremely expensive. So you are looking at Young, you are looking at England International, you're looking at homegrown, you're looking at all these key boxes that Premier League teams need to have ticked in when it comes to quotas that you need in the squad. So that alone starts to add a tax onto him. We haven't even talked about his talent, his progression, his profile increasing. Forest would, at the very least, as an underestimate, demand somewhere between 70 to 75 million, if not higher. There are people that value him higher than that. In fact, let me know how much you value Anderson at in the comments down below. I personally think a realistic number for Elliot Anderson at the moment would be about 70, 75 million. Okay, so for Manchester, let's just say 70 million. Let's say Forest goes 70 million and Brighton won 80 million for what's his face, Baleba. You're already looking at 150 million there in cash. Obviously, there's PSR that you can play with and what have you. So that in itself, the numbers just don't add up. But it comes on to an interesting question. Is Elliot Anderson going to leave Forest in transfer window in the summer? Well, there is even talks that there's going to be clubs coming in for him this January. They've been so impressed with his performances that they feel maybe they can put Forest in a position where they can't refuse the offer. There are some rumours about Forest being tight on PSR, hence why maybe we haven't seen the sacking of Ange yet, which we'll come on to in a second. But I still think a lot of this is hearsay. So do I expect Anderson to still be at Forest come January? Yes. Do I expect him to be here in the summer? Yes. But do I expect clubs to come in with some bids for him? 100%. Could those bids be high enough that Forest decide that that's too good to refuse? Potentially. What do you guys think? That's the story on Anderson to Manchester United. Now, let's move on and talk about Postecoglou. Okay, I don't want to spend too long because, quite frankly, guys, I'm quite bored of this whole Postecoglou thing. But there has been some updates given from Romano on Postecoglou. Now, I find them a bit wishy-washy, but let me just run you through them. He said, at the moment, there is still nothing decided. So I think there's still a chance that he'll have more time to show his skills and change the situation at Nottingham Forest. We know it's not an easy situation after the recent results, but at the moment, I'm not aware of Nottingham Forest already being in talks with another manager or telling Postecoglou that it's over. So I think there's still a chance to see him continuing at the club. Again, let's see. Because we know with Nottingham Forest managers, there's always this question mark if things are not working. So we never know the reaction from the owners. But at the moment, the situation is still under control. And I think he will have the opportunity to try to change the situation. Okay, that's absolutely Ant style sitting on the fence quotations. Basically, Romano is saying there, he hasn't been sacked yet, so he's probably going to stay. But he could be sacked, and if he does get sacked, then they'll bring someone else in. But they're not talking to anyone else. So at this time and moment and this current, time, space continuum that we are in, Ange Postecoglou is still the Forest manager, and nothing has changed. But it still could change because Marinakis does have the ability to hire and fire managers. Great update, Romano. Thanks. Let's talk about it more objectively and more coherently than that. At the moment, for me, I actually agree with Romano. I don't think he's getting sacked. I think if it was going to happen, it was going to happen by yesterday. Now it's getting into the realms of it's too late. It would be almost stupid to sack him now. And understand what I'm saying in that. I'm not saying from my paradigm here, okay? I'm not saying I wouldn't sack him today. I'd still sack him tomorrow, okay? That's not my point. My point is it would be stupid of the club to have had probably 2 or 3 training sessions already this week, had him having those, conducting those training sessions, and then pull him in on, say, Thursday tomorrow and be like, yeah, thanks for sorting us out for those training sessions. Off now. Decided we don't want you. And then you're going to bring someone in, what, say for Saturday? Players still away on international duty. And when we do the whole roundabout and the whole freaking Back to the Future stuff, we did with him a month ago, where he came in the second week of the international break, had 1 or 2 training sessions, and we basically threw the game to Arsenal. So I think he is staying just based on logic versus stupidity. If they do sack him, fine, I'm cool with that. But it would be the dumb time to sack him. It should have been done Monday, and then that next person in announced on the Tuesday. So look, Romano's saying it's not happening. The thing I take from what Romano said is that Forest haven't been in touch with other managers. Now, we've seen loads of stories and reports. Benitez this, Marco Silva that, freaking Sean Dyche and all this crap. What I'll take from what Romano said is that it doesn't look like Forest have spoken to any manager. Now, if that's the case, then Postecoglou is definitely not being sacked, because Forest would have started to put the feelers out on managers they wanted if they were getting rid of Ange. So that's what it is, but we don't know. I've got no ITK information for you on this one. I haven't seen anything. I know there's been board meetings, I think it was on Monday, where discussions were had. So I would have expected if he was going to go, it would have been on Tuesday, because the board meetings were on Monday. I think he's staying. Hope I'm wrong. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Right, that's you guys up to date on your Forest news. Make sure you check out the merch. So look at that. Chelsea, scan the QR code, click on the link. Make sure you've liked, make sure you're subscribed. I'll leave you grumpy old Reds on the end screen if you didn't catch it from last night. So go give that a quick watch, and we'll see you on the next video. Come on, Reds.